children in whom was no blemish, but well favored, and skillful in all wisdom, and cunning in knowledge, and understanding science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans. And the king appointed them a daily provision of the king's meat, and of the wine which he drank, so nourishing them 3 years, that at the end thereof they might stand before the king. Now among these were of the children of Judah Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Daniel 1:4-6. Behold these young men of Judah, pure in heart and unspotted in thought, called to serve the king's table and learn the Chaldean tongue. They are nothing less than the image of God unfolding within them. In this selection, Daniel and his companions represent the part of you that refuses the world's rich but corrupting diet, its doubts, its schemes, its false promises, and instead clings to the simple pulse of faith and purity. For 3 years they are nourished, not by opulence, but by the water of truth and the pulse of divine life, until they stand before the king, radiant with wisdom and power. Here is the secret. God is life, and that life is our own consciousness. When Daniel and his friends discipline the body, they awaken the soul. They prove that the world you see is but a marble statue until your spirit breathes into it. You, too, may sit at the royal table of experience wearing the garments of a world that seems real, but remain untainted by its delusions. Refuse its king's meat, its anxious cares and vain ambitions, and you will find your inner lamp glowing far brighter than any earthly crown. In time 3 years in mystical measure, the new man emerges. He speaks the language of heaven, masters the science of the soul, and stands alive before the throne of power. He is neither victim nor servant to circumstance, for he knows that all things exist in eternity and owe their life to his awakened imagination. You are summoned to that banquet right now. Feed on faith, water your faith with the waters of stillness, and fashion within yourself the Christ. Then you, like Daniel, will shine as light in the court of men, and all power, knowledge, and glory will bow before the life. Daniel's 4 youths, unblemished, well-favored, skilled in wisdom and knowledge, are not merely historical figures, but symbols of inner states of consciousness. No blemish points to a mind untainted by fear or doubt. Well-favored describes a heart aligned with your highest ideal of self. Their training in the king's palace maps to entering a higher state of awareness where you encounter divine mind rather than the frightened ego. The 3-year provision of royal food and wine represents an incubation period of daily mental nourishment. In metaphysical terms, king's meat is the sustaining imagery you feed your imagination. As you dwell upon truth, your divine nature, your consciousness is reconditioned. 3 years stands for a complete cycle of transformation, from old belief to fully embodied assumption. This inner diet steadily sculpts your outer world, just as the sculptor releases the form already carved in eternity. Hidden here is your innate authority to stand in the king's palace. You are both sculptor and statue. You give life to every outer circumstance by your sustained mental diet. The scripture reveals that you possess the sovereign power of choice over which thoughts nourish you. By electing royal provision, you awaken the wisdom and power of God within Christ, formed in you as the believing state that precedes manifestation. Each morning begins with an awareness of your daily provision, those beliefs, images, and even snippets of media that you allow into your mind as the day unfolds. Once you notice what has entered, gently release anything that might blemish your imagination, whether it's fear-driven headlines or whispers of self-doubt, so that your mental space remains clear and receptive. After this cleansing, grant yourself 3 minutes to enfold the state you long for as already fulfilled. Experience the favor, the wisdom, and the sense of belonging that arise within the divine palace of your own consciousness. From that inner reality, let your speech, your movements, and your decisions flow naturally, as if you fully inhabit that unblemished, well-favored awareness. As you sustain this assumption, you will observe circumstances that once lay frozen in old patterns begin to awaken and respond to the life of your creative intent. In following these steps, you engage the same creative mechanics that empowered Daniel and his companions. Rather than merely enduring the pressures of the world, you learn to reshape them, unveiling the hidden divinity you have always carried.